Alrighty, welcome back. Welcome back, my friends. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to another week of opportunity, another great week to be alive. Good morning, everyone. How we doing? All right. Bonjour. Bonjour. Doing good, Chef. How are you? Nice weekend. Hopefully you guys had the same. Nice little break. Some time off. Damn, man. Got a little bit of uneven beard right here. It's really pissing me off looking at it. I'm not going to lie. Good morning. Can't unsee it now. Why good morning and not me? Jackson Hole this week. PMI this week. Some stuff, not much. We'll get into that. Good morning, my fellow Italian. Enzo, what a name. Love that name. Enzo Caputo, what an Italian name. What a paisan. Good morning. Vinny Levels. Maybe that's what I should name myself. Vinny Levels. You lose money every Monday, then take it off, man. There's nothing, that's a thing we gotta do as traders, right? What are our good days? What's our bad days? What are our tendencies? What days should we try to avoid, right? And Fridays for me suck. So last Friday, I took one small trade and I got the hell out of here. So I tried it, right? I'll never give up, because I know when I see a setup, it can still be valid. But, if you see a tendency in your trading, right, then, learn to trade around it. Learn to trust it. So for me, Fridays are terrible. They're not good days. I think the biggest reason is there's a real reason behind it. There's a technical reason why I'm not good on Fridays, and it has to do with my trading strategy. So my trading strategy does not work well with 0 DTE options, and I know that, right? And that's part of our job, is to know what is good, what is not, right? The reason why my strategy is not good on a Friday is because when I give a stock, a gap, if I give it a little bit of room for a stop loss, which I always have to do in my strategy, right? On a Friday, it's a larger percentage point loss than it would be on a normal options, right? On a normal day, like a Monday or a Tuesday. So if I give a stock, $1 on the underlying as my stop loss, on a Monday, maybe that's a 10% loss, a 15% loss. On a Friday, that's a 30% loss, a 40% loss, right? And then that's more difficult to recover from. So you have to know, right, as you trade, as you become more experienced and you start to learn your strategy, right, those are the little things that you will start to learn. So, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. If you have a tough time on a certain day, then don't trade. Don't trade. There's nothing. No one's forcing you to trade every day, right? There's a lot of good traders out there that don't trade every day. So, yeah. All right, guys, let's get started. 8:05 Monday. Let's make it a good week. Another good week here. Another full week of opportunity. And yeah. So here's the schedule. I know that's why you're here. You're here for the schedule. Economic earnings calendar. So we do have some big earnings this week. We have NVDA. NVIDIA, big earnings, big event there. Definitely going to be an interesting one. NVIDIA option contracts are going to be expensive, very expensive. So please be careful. Matt Diamond. Matt Diamond's actually part of the community, and shout out to him. I don't know if he listens to the live streams, but if he does, what's up, Matt? Matt's a great guy, very honest. Just a staple of what you should be. He's first to admit when he's having problems. He's first to admit when he's doing well, which is very similar to what I do. So me and Matt have connected. Great guy, great trader, and just an honest person. So shout out, Matt. And thank you for all the support, Matt. Hopefully you're enjoying the group. All right. Monday. Today, nothing, right? Nothing. So that's good. I like that. Right? When I see none scheduled, pretty happy about that, right? Pretty happy about that. Tomorrow, existing home sales, nothing really either. 10 o'clock, so nothing quite there either. Wednesday, you guys can see PMI, new home sales, so not much there. We have PMI 945. Thursday, we begin the Jackson Hole meeting, which is when all of the Fed officials, all have their little vacations at Jackson Hole. Whatever they do over there, I have no idea. But 10 o'clock, I don't know why this is not in chronological order, but 10 o'clock, you're going to have a lot of Fed presidents speaking probably Thursday and Friday. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Jobless claims, but nothing really that major here this week on the economic side, all right? Nothing that major. Let's pull up the earnings calendar because we do have some pretty big earnings. Nothing major, but NVIDIA's major. That's like the one major one. So let's pull that up. Here is the earnings calendar. So today, you guys can see Zoom. Zoom is today after hours. We'll see what happens there. It was the talk of the town a couple years ago. Now not so much. Baidu, Macy's, Lowe's, Dick's. Remember, you guys remember the last time we had earnings? Remember this is. I know they do this on purpose. I'm not. You cannot tell me that they do not put these two earnings on this calendar together and have it on the same day, right? There's 364 other days to report earnings, and Dick's and BJ's decide to do it on the same day, and that is not by coincidence. So on Tuesday before open, you have Dick's, you have BJ's, you have Toll Brothers Tuesday after close, Peloton Wednesday, Advanced Auto Parts, NVIDIA, that's the big one, right? Snowflake, that's another decent sized one there. So Snowflake and NVIDIA, you guys can see right there. That's probably going to be, this will definitely be an important day, the Wednesday after close for tech, right? You got Snowflake, you got NVIDIA. So that's a big one there. You have to watch out for that. NVIDIA options chains the NVIDIA options chain is going to be extremely expensive when you wake up this morning. Be careful trading NVIDIA this week, okay? There could be some nice moves. The chart looks great, right? For a potential bull flag. But you have earnings on Wednesday. Option premiums are high, right? It's going to be a big one. Thursday, nothing major. Nothing I really see here. Ulta could be interesting because Ulta really only goes up. We'll see if it goes up again. Ulta, Affirm, Marvell, another semiconductor name there. So we'll see. But really, the main thing this week is NVIDIA earnings on Wednesday. All right? Okay. Tesla, we'll look at Tesla, 220. We'll look at NVIDIA, bull flag. We'll talk about the earnings. We'll talk about Microsoft, 320 retest. Apple, 177. Meta, 290. Costco, 550. Google, 129. And we're also going to talk about Netflix, right? Because I'm in that Netflix swing. Netflix still looks fine to me. Netflix is popping a little bit this morning, but it is still under my stop. So I am still going to trust that setup, right? And if it breaks my stop, it breaks my stop. That's how I trade. So we'll see. We'll take a look at Netflix, talk a little bit about that swing trade and the setup, etc. if I want to continue to hold it. P&W is ripping. Why don't you see if you can play? Yeah, we can check out PA&W if we have some time. All right. So, yeah, that's the schedule. Let's do it. Let's get started. I have Boeing here. I was sort of checking it out because I am continuing to buy Boeing shares. I'm sort of been averaging into Boeing here on this sort of grind higher. But, yeah, Boeing actually a little bit of an interesting retest here this morning. I was just sort of checking this out myself. You guys can see right here. This little pullback after that extension to the upside, this little pullback to around that 220, 221 area on Boeing. Actually sort of interesting. We can talk about that later. So let's get into the futures. The futures are very interesting here. First of all, daily chart. You can see the little wick, right? The daily wick on Friday, and then the upside continuation here this morning. I am thinking you are seeing, a little bit of a short-term bottom here, a possible tradable short-term bottom here. Here's some reasoning why. So first of all, you came back towards that 100 SMA on the NASDAQ, also on the ES, and it held well, right? That 100 SMA is going to be some type of relief area on this market after some pretty extended downside. Now, you can see on the 15-minute chart, right? That's a pretty clear inverse head and shoulder, right? It's a very clear inverse head and shoulder, right? If we were to flip this chart, if we were going to go negative NQ, I think we would all agree, right, that this is a little head and shoulder rejection. And I think we would all agree that, it's definitely potential to see further downside after this head and shoulder rejection and continuation to the downside. This is the inverse of the NASDAQ, right? You got to remember that. The actual NASDAQ is like this. So today, I would not look to short anything today if you are above, at the very least, if you are above 14.8, right? Because 14.8, which is here, which is here, which is here, which is here, right? 14.8 could be the spot that the market pulls back to, right? Pulls back to that previous high, holds, right? And then continues higher. So I would want to stay looking for the upside in the short term today if we're above 14.8. If we're above this previous high from both Friday and this high from Thursday, sort of late day Thursday, I would be more interested in staying looking for upside, right? I would stay more interested in looking for upside. Boeing will wreck you like Netflix. I already took, about a $2,000 profit on Netflix, so Netflix isn't wrecking anything. Thank you. 14,860, right? You guys can see here on the upside, you have this little 14,860 right there, right? 14,860 is that little wick low here from Thursday. That is the last area of potential rejection that I am looking at today, right? This 14,860 level. I'm keeping an eye on that. As of right now, you can see we're having a little bit of trouble there at the 14,860, which is right here, this red zone. That's going to be definitely a level to watch. If I go back to the 15-minute chart, definitely a level to watch here on the short term. You guys can see 14,860 and right there 14,860. So I am not interested, right? By looking at this price action, you need to think through a few things. You need to think about the situation on the market a little bit to sort of game plan here today, right? What happened last week? Aggressive downside, right? What happened on Friday? A pretty decent hold on Friday and a nice hold here at this sort of 14,730 level, this previous low, right? And an inverse head and shoulder that was formed, right? So you had aggressive downside last week. You had an inverse head and shoulder form here, right? With some upside continuation this morning. And I just don't think, right, at these levels, the risk to reward at this point to the downside is correct, right? Because if you didn't catch any downside last week, right, I don't think you walk into this week and continue to try to chase that, right? For now, this is the first sign of some type of a short-term tradable bottom here on the NASDAQ futures. So if I was to see any pullback today, right, if I was to see a pullback into this 14.8, I think I would look at this as a potential short-term opportunity, right? Short-term opportunity. So if you guys see any pullback, right here, right here, right here, right here, right? That is where you're looking to see if we hold. That is a must hold for a potential upside continuation. If we break back under 14.8 and we start to trade, right, back under this 14.8, then I would look for the rejections here, the rejections here, the rejections here, and the rejections here, right? I would look for that rejection play. If we move back under 14.8, then I would look to see if we reject the 14.8, which then puts us back within this channel, right? Which then puts us right back within this channel that we were trading in between Thursday and Friday, right? So for upside to really stay strong, for us to stick in the upside, to really see continuation, you need to hold above 14.8, in my opinion. That is a must-hold level today. As long as we're over 14.8, I'd be careful on the short side. I would potentially look for a 14.8 rejection play for downside, and I would look for to see if we lose the 14,730, right? The 14,730. Oh, man. It's starting early, huh? It's Monday morning. I can smell it. I can smell it in the chat. It's there already. It's there already. So 14,860, right? That's your supply level above. Watch out for that today on the NASDAQ futures. On the pullback, look at 14.8, right? That's your important potential demand. If you do not hold this 14.8 today, then we get weak again, right? Because if we lose 14.8, we move right back under and back into this channel, right? We move right back into this channel between 14.8 and 14,730, okay? So you have to hold 14.8 for upside continuation. If you get above the 14,860 today and you start to build above that, right, then you're probably good for a retest of 15,000, right? You're probably good for a retest of 15,000 if you can turn this 860 back into support, I would assume you try to retest and sort of make back, right, this downside back towards this 15,000 triple bottom, right? That's if you turn the 14,860 into support, all right? So some things to react to today, right? Some things we have to react to. As traders, we react to what the market's giving us, and we definitely have to do some reacting today because we have some levels to pay attention to. 14,860, 14,800. If above here, you probably slide towards 15K. Below 800, you probably move back into that 730, right? So that's the NASDAQ. Let's go QQQ. Pretty much the same thing, right? QQQ, you guys can see right here. What's the big level today on the QQQ? 361, right? So right here, you guys can see 361 lows, 361. When we broke 361, look at the reaction, right? Very aggressive to the downside. Now we're moving back to the upside. We're starting to see that 361 step in. So if we can turn 361 into support today, that is where I think you could get the continuation, right? That is where I think you can get the continuation. Back above 361, right? That's where you can see a build and continuation. If you stay under 361 today, right, then you have to be cautious of that turning into a potential rejection point. That would be the same as the NASDAQ 14,860, right? 14,860, is equal to the QQQ 361, okay? So that's your level there. Boom gang, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. So 361, that's your level on the QQQ. We got to watch that one today. If you get a downside move, that support probably steps up around this 359, right? This 359 is equal to the NASDAQ 14,800, right? 14,800 is that potential pullback area. QQQ, it's 359. So 359, 357.50, and then you got the 361 supply above. If you break the 361 supply, right, if you get above this 361 today, you probably move into that 364, right? You probably start to squeeze towards that 364. So all about 361 today on the QQQ. ES. All right, ES. 15-minute chart. Very similar look here on the S&P 500, right? As long as the S&P 500 is above 43.90, right? As long as it is above 43.90, you guys can see right here, 43.90, 43.90, 43.90, 43.90. As long as you're above that 43.90, there is potential, right? There's potential longs off this 43.90, right? Guys, stop being idiots in the chat, all right? I'm just going to say that. You guys are just being idiots this morning. I mean, if you're Monday morning waking up and arguing with someone you have no idea who they are in a YouTube chat, when you just know it's distracting to me and others, you're wasting your time here. Okay, get a move on. Wake up. All right. ES 43.90. You guys can see right here. Previous high, previous high, previous high, previous high. As long as you're above that 43.90, be careful on the short side, right? Even if there is some pullback, be careful trusting downside continuation if you are above this level. I would look to see if we get a pullback, if this level is a potential long opportunity. That's what I would look for today. If we pull back to this 43.90, I would look to see if that is a pullback opportunity for longs, right? So watch that 43.90 level, very important. If you break below that, then you move into the 43.75, right? Supply above is very clear at this 44.10, right? You guys can see right here, previous lows, and if you move to the upside, right, the 44.10 is the supply level to watch, okay? If you get above 44.10 today, that is your next confirmation for more upside, right? Your next confirmation for more upside is above 44.10, okay? So above that, you get more upside confirmation for maybe a move towards these highs around this 44.27, 44.30 area. But 44.10 is the first level to watch today. If you get a pullback off that level, look for the potential longs off the 43.90. All right? That's your little zone to watch today. I would not take a trade in here, right? I don't like trades in this zone here, right? Because see this? See how quickly we went down? See how quickly we went up, right? We need to see a reaction off a level before trading, right? We're either looking for shorts up here for a move back into 43.90. We're looking for longs above 44.10, right? Or we're looking for that pullback and we're looking for potential longs off 43.90, right? So wait for one of these levels to hit today. I wouldn't get too involved just sort of in the middle of this channel here. Maybe there's a little bit of a trading opportunity off 4,400, right? That psych 4,400 level. But I'm not really too fond of that. I'd rather wait for the 43.90. SPY, very same thing, right? Same exact analysis here. Same exact formation as both the QQQ, the ES, the NQ futures, right? It's all the same. You can see the inverse head and shoulder. You can see the break above the neckline, which is for the SPY is 437, right? You guys can see right here, 437, 437, 437. So if the SPY is above, right, this previous high, right, we don't want to be shorting too aggressively back into it, right? Because if we move back into 437, again, that could be a potential long opportunity on a break and retest of previous highs. So if the market is breaking above previous rejection points this morning, right, you probably don't want to get too aggressive on the short side back into it. There might be a play there, right? A little scalp off this 439 supply, maybe back into the 437, right? But you have to sort of think about the whole picture here. I'm not too fond of a short back into demand, which is 437. So watch that 437 today, right? The upside supply level is very clear at 439, right? You guys can see right here, 439, 439, 439. So if you can get above 439, that's your next long, right, into 441, into this high here and into these lows here. That's if you can hold above 439, right? So if you can hold above 439, then you have your confirmation for more upside into 441. If you're under 439, then you do need to be cautious of potential pullbacks because that is a hold below previous lows, right? Yes, we're bouncing today, right? Yes, there is some bounce here today, but have we broken above these previous lows? No, right? We're still below some previous very important lows here on the SPY at 439. So you cannot long here looking for a move into 439 because you're exposing yourself to that. And risk reward is just not there. Doesn't make any sense to take that trade. So you can either look for the short off 439 today, right? Sort of what's happening here now, or you can look to see if there's longs off the 437, right? So very important. Nice little channel here on the SPY. Look to see which side breaks and holds today. If you break back under 437 today and you see this is a nothing move. This is a pointless move, right? That is where you'll know if this move is BS, right? If this move, you'll know if this move is BS if you break back under 437, right? If you break back under that 437, then you'll know that's the same thing as breaking back under this 4390. It's the same thing as breaking back under this 14.8 on the NASDAQ, right? If you break back under those levels, then, you know, it's right back under those highs. And I wouldn't be that confident on upside if you're breaking right back under those highs on the NASDAQ, on the ES, on the SPY, right? So that's important. Keep an eye on those levels, all right? All right, Dow Jones, right? Mr. Jones. Daniel Jones looked pretty good. Daniel Jones, he looked pretty good. I'm a classic Giants fan, right? Getting excited over the the preseason. No, yeah, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Fucking Giants fan. They give me pain. That's all they give me. All right. So you guys can see right here, Dow Jones. You can see previous highs, right? Previous highs, previous highs, right? That's the Dow. Same exact thing, right? Same exact thing. So if you get a move back into that 34.6, right, that is a potential hold, right? That's a potential hold level. If you pull back to that 34.6, you get a potential hold of that level on the Dow Jones. I would not look too short into 34.6, right? Because then you're just shorting back into previous highs. There is no reason to short back into previous highs that could hold as a demand, right? Break, retest. This 34.6 could become a nice demand. I'd be careful shorting into it. Supply above is very clear, 34,800, right? You can see right here, 34,800, 34,800. Be careful on the longs into that level, all right? Very clean hold of the 100 SMA on the Dow right there on Friday, right? Look at that, 100 SMA, perfect hold on Friday. Russell, oh, this is interesting. Look at these SMAs here on the Russell. Yeah, you got your 1880 supply. That's that previous low right there. 1880 previous low. Yeah, look at what's sort of setting up here. So you got you got your 1880 supply, and you also have the 200 SMA right there, sort of sitting there on the Russell. So that's an interesting level there, right? Keep an eye on this 1880 area. 1880, that was also a supply from, on the 4-hour chart. Watch that 1880 and this 200 SMA here on the Russell, right? Right there. Important. All right. Let's get into the stocks. Tesla. All right, guys. If you could, we got 1,800 people here. Let's press that like button if you could before we get into some stonks. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. We got to continue to grow this channel. With your help, we can. Here we go. So Tesla, gap up this morning, right? Little gap up this morning off some market strength, right? Tesla back above the 100 SMA. Nice little gap up there. Look at the hold potential at 221.50 today. This is very, very, very important. You have a little bit of a bull flag forming here in the pre-market. If Tesla can hold this little low here from Thursday, then I think it will try to push again here in the short term, right? If you can hold this 221.50, I think you can see Tesla curl off this level and push to the upside again. This 221.50 is the same level that, this is Thursday's price action. Like, look how clear this is, right? This is very clear. 221.50 right there, bounce. Later in the day, 221.50, break, rejection, which caused the downside, right? So this 221.50 is a sort of line in the sand here. Now, if we move over, we'll keep going over. Look at what's happening right now, right? 221.50. You're right above it. So this is your key today. If Tesla holds this 221.50, if Tesla has a little flag and a little breakout over 221.50, all right, I think this can continue. If you break back under 221.50, all right, if you break back under that level, then Tesla is likely to gap fill. All right, so if you turn back under 221.50, if you turn it back into rejections, then you could see maybe a little gap fill, right, back into the 217s. All right, that could be also a potential move today. If you see weakness, if you break back under 221.50, you could look for that move for a gap fill back in the 217, all right, because this is a gap up from this morning. So 221.50, major level on Tesla today. Keep an eye on that level. As of right now, it's attempting to hold on to it. That is going to be a very key hold right here. If you break below that, things get weak again. Maybe a little gap fill, maybe move into the 100 SMA, maybe back into that gap at 217. But if you hold this and you have a little flag here, right, this could be a nice move, maybe back up into these highs around this 225, maybe up into the 227 supply. All right? So keep an eye on that on Tesla. Pretty nice setup there. Definitely something I'm watching today. NVDA. Let's go to the expected move. Expected move right now is 10%. That will increase probably intraday as we move into Wednesday. But right now, expected move is $42. So that's 10%, right? That's a big expected move, a 10% expected move. which will likely be increasing. This is a very, very, very interesting chart. I'm not going to lie, right? I'm going to delete this for now. I'm just going to show you the raw chart here. This is a very interesting chart, right? And we can see NVIDIA from its highs has sort of slid lower, has had some weakness, but nothing too weak, right? It's never been sort of dead, even through the downside. Look at how well this held the 400 demand, right? 400, 400. Look at that hold here last week, and then look at the wick hold of around that 415 on Friday. A very strong demand stepping up around that 400, almost like a floor, right? For now, around that 395, 400. Very clear, right? And a very aggressive pop back to the upside off that level. I'm probably not going to trade this week, right? I don't really care to. I have plenty of NVIDIA shares. If NVIDIA wants to rally here on earnings, I will soak it up with shares. I have 120 shares. So, if NVIDIA goes up, $40 on earnings, I make about $6,000. So I don't need to, and if it goes down on that, I lose $6,000. But it's a long-term investment. I don't look at it that way. But to avoid myself from getting messed up in any high IV pre-earnings types of option trades, I just remind myself that I own shares and I don't need to get involved here. But man, is that an interesting bull flag, right? Man, is that an interesting potential breakout, right? If we have good earnings on NVIDIA, that's a really interesting slow pullback that we've seen before cause major upside moves, right? We've seen that before. Here's what I would watch, right, in the short term. If you're looking to trade NVIDIA short term, here's what I would be looking at, okay? There is some levels above to pay attention to. So the first one here is very clearly this 20 SMA, right? Right in this general area, this 448 area, this 20 SMA. Look how well that rejected last week, right? Look how clearly that rejected all last week. Or, yeah, Tuesday, right? Look at Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, very clear rejections of that 447.50, 448 level. I'm going to call it 448. So that's your first level, right? I wouldn't long NVIDIA if you're still under that 448, right? You're not going to long it after this gap up right back into 448, right? That doesn't make any sense, okay? If you're going to long something on a gap up into supply, you're just, it's not I don't think it's going to work for you long term, all right? So you got to watch this high here that was created last week, right here. Previous high, previous high, previous high, previous high, weakness off of it. You're gapping back into it. You need to see it above 448 to go long on NVIDIA if you're looking for upside continuation here. So you need to see it over 448 for continuation. Now, if you get over 448, your next watch, right, there's still another watch here. Your next watch is right here. It's this little triple top high over here at 455, right? Your next watch is up here at 455, right? So why 455? You guys can see right here. Previous lows, previous highs, previous highs, previous highs, right? This was where it was rejecting the 20 SMA. So there are still some levels that I would be a little bit weary of on the upside on NVIDIA, right? 448 and 455, right? Two levels to be paying attention to. If you break above 455, that's where I think it could heat up, right? That's where I think the heat up and sort of the squeeze could begin over 455, because you can see how clear the rejections were here. You can see how clear the rejections were last week here. So be careful on being long into those levels, especially after a morning gap up, right? That's just not the type of scenario you really want to get yourself stuck in on a Monday. Chasing a gap up into supply, seeing it pull back, and you saying, why am I longing into a supply level on a gap up? What am I doing, right? That's not really what you want to be getting involved in my opinion. If anything, you look for a pullback to these previous lows. You look for NVIDIA to potentially fill the gap, and maybe there's a long off this 437 level, right? You can see right here, previous lows, right? 50 SMA right there as well. Previous highs right here, right? That could possibly be the right long potential today. A long back into the 50 SMA, back into Friday's highs. If we see that pullback, that could be a better spot for better risk reward. So Watch 434, 435, and then watch that 448 supply above. What's next? Microsoft. Okay, so Microsoft's an interesting one here. Here's why. So you guys know we were talking about that 320 level on Microsoft, and we were talking about how important it was. After we broke 320, you guys saw how aggressive it got to the downside. It got very, very aggressive on the downside. You have to make sure you have the daily SMAs, Mike. So here on the screen, you can see daily SMA is the study. Make sure you have the daily SMA so it stays on the daily time. It stays where it is on the daily on any time frame. All right, so here's why Microsoft is interesting today, right? You broke that 320 level, you got below it, and you flushed, right? Very aggressive flush. Now you're bouncing back into it. What are you bouncing back into, though? You are bouncing right back into a supply level, right? And the 100 SMA, right? So if this could just be a little bounce and a re-entry short on Microsoft, it could be, right? This could be a re-entry short on Microsoft. If Microsoft starts to see a very difficult time at this 320 and at this 100 SMA, you could look for that re-short entry up here. If Microsoft gets back above 320, then that is invalidated and you have to take your loss, right? This is where, this is a concept that is, I think, very difficult for some people to accept, right? This is a good potential setup. That does not mean that it is 100% setup. So if you do trade this, right, and you do take a short here after seeing maybe, a half an hour of rejections here on Microsoft, right? If you start to see rejections here, you say, hey, 320 is a big level. I know this is a potential rejection zone. We also have the 100 SMA in my favor here. I like the potential for this trade, right? And so you're setting yourself up with a good risk reward, right? Risk is back over 320, rewards back down into the 313. It's a good setup. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to work, right? So let's say the NASDAQ, for some reason, sees some strong upside, right, in the middle of the day, right? You get some kind of knee-jerk reaction to the upside. Microsoft breaks over 320. You stop out, right? That's it, right? You stop out and you accept, right? A lot of people have a hard time doing that. But you're not going to catch these trades if you're not willing to put the risk on there and you're not willing to potentially take that chance, take that risk, right? You're not going to catch these trades if you can't accept the risk when you put on a trade. You have to be able to accept what could go wrong, right? Accept the possibility of the wrong outcome, accept the possibility of it going against you, and making sure that if it does go against you, you're not blowing up your account, right? If this goes against you, right, if you take a trade like this and it goes against you, you lose 3-4% of your portfolio and you man up and you move on. That's trading, right? There's no such thing as perfect trading. So if you actually want to be a trader, right, and take setups and manage risk and accept that traders are wrong at times, I know for some people a difficult concept, but it is I think it will change you as a trader when you can start to accept those facts, right? Accept those facts. All right, Apple, right? Next, Apple. Very interesting here. Here's what I'm looking for today. I'm looking to see, can Apple trade back into 177? And what do we see at 177, right? That is number one. That is the number one thing I'm looking for today. Can we trade back into 177? And if we do, then I want to see reactions, right? What happens here? What happens at 177? So look to see if we trade back into 177, right? Here, all these 177 levels. If we trade back into it, right? If we trade back into it, do we see rejections? And if we do, is there a potential downside short entry here on a retest rejection? Or if we trade back into it, right, and we hold above it, is there a long back into this maybe 180 level on a reclaim of this channel low? Now, here is where most will go wrong, right? Here's the common mistake. All right, I'll talk you through the common mistake of a trader here. They will not wait for 177 to be tested. They can't wait, right? They just can't help themselves. I can't wait. I have to trade Apple now. I will not wait until it goes to 177. You do not know what Apple is going to do, right? There is no key level to trade off of on Apple until it actually gets to 177, right? So you have to wait for 177 here, right? You have to wait. Because if you trade it before that, you're not basing that off any type of real key major technical level. Your chances of trading correctly increase tremendously if you just trade off these key levels. So if you look for 177, you see double top rejections, maybe you see market start to reject, possible short entry there. If you see the market rallying today, Apple starts to turn 177 into a really strong support. You take a long there, risk reward's right. You look for the long maybe back into the 100 or maybe back in the channel high. Most people or some newer traders, they'll just start trading it here at random spots without any type of edge. No idea of where to stop out, just taking random longs and shorts out of midair, right? No, we need to wait for 177 to get tested. That is where our probabilities and our risk reward is at its greatest. 177, keep an eye on that level on Apple. I wouldn't trade it until you actually get there. Meta, similar idea actually to Apple, whereas I wouldn't trade it until it hits a certain level, right? Similar idea, right? Similar idea. Guys, I've seen about 1,000 people ask about AMD. I am on a schedule, right? Oh my God. Look, right? Look. Everyone listen up. Listen up. Here we go. Okay, look. Everyone look at it with me. I'm going to lean back. Over here. Where am I? Right there. Okay? Nope. There. Okay, we got Tesla, NVDA, Microsoft, Apple, Meta, Costco, Google, right? And then, right, after that, right, then we can potentially look at some other stocks. So AMD, I know we want to look at PANW, right? But we got to get through the schedule, okay? We got to get through the schedule first. That's number one, okay? So let's continue to do that, okay? Let's continue to do that. Meta, 290, right? 290. So right here, you guys can see previous highs, previous lows, and previous lows, right? Previous highs, previous lows, previous lows. 290. Okay, so what are we looking for today on Meta? We are looking to see if we can pop back into 290, right? Because if we pop back into 290, then we are popping back into a previous 4-hour double bottom, right? 4-hour double bottom right here at 290. If we get that bounce into that level, there is a potential for a re-entry short, right? If you get above 290, there is a very good potential long opportunity, right? Because if you get back above that 290, and maybe you start to get back into this trend, right? If you get back above that 290, if you turn this previous low here and this previous low here back into support, then you are potentially looking at a fantastic reclaim of 290, reclaim of the channel low for a long opportunity. So 290, very big level on Meta in my opinion. I would wait for it to get there before taking a trade, right? I would be careful trading in this little chop fest between 277 and 290. Wait to see, can Meta pop towards that level? And if it can, what are the reactions at 290, right? That is what we need to watch on Meta. Keep an eye on that, all right? Costco, all right? This is a trade I'm in as well. So I took Costco puts last week on the break of 550, and it held under 550 very nicely on Friday, right? So here's Friday. Actually, I got to get more time here. Here's Friday, right? You can see we had a little bit of a pop Friday morning, but another rejection of that level and continuation to the downside. So I'm still in this play, up pretty nicely on it. We'll see what happens today, but I like the potential. What needs to happen on Costco? If you are in this trade, you need to break under 540, right? You have to break under 540, and you have to break under the 50 SMA, right? So that's key. You got to break under 540 and the 50 SMA if we want to see Costco continuation to the downside. If it holds here, right? If it holds here, then this probably pops back into the 550. However, right? in a trade like this on Costco, where I have September 15th contracts or September monthlies, I'm not sure the exact date. Is it the 15th or the 18th? One of those days. You have to maintain this position, right? I have a month of time on these contracts. I cannot get out of Costco if it's under 550, right? I can't let a little hold here stop me out of this trade, right? Because I have a longer term idea here, right? So we need to be under 550, right? We need to be under 550. If we are, I still like the trade. If you pop into 550, look to see if it turns into a rejection, right? Look to see if you get a pop in the 550, that could be potentially another re-entry short on the same play idea, right? If you stay under this low here. If Costco gets back over 550, then the trade is invalidated and we get out and we accept our loss and we move on, okay? Costco 550 must stay below. Demand right now at 540. That's a big break if we can get it. Google. Now, this one is interesting today. This might be one of my top watches. Here's why, right? This is a very, very interesting setup today. All right. So you have a Google gap, right, that you are now trading in. You are in a Google gap, right? Google gap from around 126, maybe down to 123, but you have a very clear gap here between 129 and 126. Now, look at how clear the 129 rejections are this morning. Look at this chart. Okay, this is definition of bear flag break and retest, right? Bear flag break and retest right now on Google in the pre-market. If I could take options on Google pre-market, I would right now. Previous low, previous support, right? Previous support, break, retest, bear flag, right? If you see weakness today of any type, I like the bear flag into that 123 or 126, right? If you see any type of weakness today, that is what I'll be looking for. Very clear inability, right? Very clear inability to get back above 129 right now. You can see it. 129, rejections on Friday, rejections pre-market. If you break this, right? If you break this, I like that. Big watch today. Google 129 for a move into 126. Okay? All right. What we've all been waiting for. Everyone, before we do that, let's try to get to 1,000 likes. We have 1,800 people here and 700 likes. We can very easily get to 1,000. Okay? We can very easily get there. Let's go to PANW. Let's go to AMD. Right? And then let's get the hell out of here. So, PANW. Earnings on Friday. I've never seen a stock report earnings on a Friday after hours. Okay? Well, that's new to me. We didn't go. Oh, Netflix too. Netflix, PANW, AMD, Netflix. Okay? PANW, earnings. Earnings gap up, earnings continuation for now. Where are we at? I mean, we're right in the middle of it. We're right in the thick of it. There's really nothing here. Yeah, I mean, I would watch this like 240. Definitely watching 240 here. So why 240? Many reasons. So this is your big level today on PANW. If you're trading PANW, watch 240. Here's why, right? Previous lows. Look at that rejection right there. And then look at the 50 SMA. So, 240, PANW. That's your watch. If you get above 240 more upside, look for rejections of 240 as well. That's your major level to watch. AMD. I know everyone's going to try to play AMD because of NVIDIA earnings, right? That's the common thing that everyone's going to do. If it's that easy to think about, second guess yourself, right? Second guess yourself. I wouldn't be surprised to see IV increase on AMD this week because of NVIDIA earnings. 106, right? 106. Except, guys, this is a shit show, okay? This is a shit show. I've retired AMD. I have not traded AMD for the last 2 months. You have not seen me trade AMD anywhere. Here's why, right? Look at this chart. It's a mess. It's a mess. So maybe there's something off 106 here today, right? That would make sense, right? It's very possible you see a little demand bounce off 106, right? You can see right here, 106, 106, right? Look at these 106 holds, 106 right here. Very possible to see a little 106 demand bounce. But that is very hard to trust, right? How far does that go? I have no clue, right? It could reject at any point in this channel. I mean, it could reject at 109.50, right? If we look at this channel, right, it could reject it. It could reject these lows here. It could reject these lows here. It could be this low. It could be these highs here. It could be this high here, right? It's just a mess. It's a mess. So, yeah, I mean, you could try to get something off 106 here today, but I'm not going to recommend that. I don't like that chart at all. All right, here's what I got for Netflix for you, right? What did I say when I got in this trade, right? I said I will stay in this trade until 412. I'm not going to panic because I know that I'm in a position that I can manage, right? I understand the position size I'm in. I'm not over leveraging myself. I'm not freaking out, right? As long as it's under 412, it is still very valid. Previous lows, right? Previous lows. Double bottom lows on Netflix. You have a break. There is going to be some type of a retest. That's always part of the plan, right? But I got in at 412 so that I can give myself that potential, that potential bounce. If we bounce on Netflix, it needs to stay under 412. That's all that needs to happen. If it stays under 412, then the trade idea is still valid, right? If it stays under this low here, then the trade idea is still valid. If Netflix starts to push above 412, starts to hold 412, then I have to get out, right? I get out and I cut my loss. But as long as it's under 412, you cannot worry about a short-term bounce here. We'll have to see what happens. We'll see if we get a bounce into 412. We'll see if it rejects, or we'll see if we get above. But trade idea is still valid as long as it's under 412. That's the key. If it gets above it, if the NASDAQ looks strong, you stop out, you move on. So that's what I'm looking at on Netflix. But trade idea and the trade setup is very much still there, right? It's very much still there. Just a little bit of a bounce, maybe back into the supply at 412. All right, guys. Fun Monday. What do you say? Right? Pretty fun. A little drama. There's always some drama here, right? It's always a little drama. But that's what keeps the New York. Thank you, man. God bless this channel. And Sir Deciano. Thank you, man. Thank you, New York. Nueva York. I appreciate that, brother. Hey, the drama is what keeps the idiots out, and I don't want idiots here. So you come here, right? If we see any idiots, we'll kick them out instantly. That's not why I'm here. I'm not here to entertain, the people that are just saying some stupid shit. I'm here to entertain people that want to learn, that want to educate themselves, that want to pay attention, that want to support, that want to be here. We're here every day, every single day. I have been on this live stream every day, pretty much, give or take a few vacation days for like 3 years now, 2-3 years. So I appreciate you guys coming. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you supporting. As always, if you could press that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you are new, we do this every single morning starting at 8 a.m. And I will see you tomorrow. Yeah. Peace.